why investing where you live is more riskier than investing interstate or in a regional town or another town away from where you live. Now, majority of people, what will happen is they're looking at their own property market and they start to see prices really start to take off. When they really start to see the prices take off, it's not when at the beginning of its growth phase where, let's say, we'll start off the property prices on average is around $500,000 per property, and then what happens is the first year goes from 500 goes to 550. The next year goes from 550 say to 560. Okay, and what happens is where they really start to see the growth is when the property prices go from 500 to it gets to 650, 700, and they start to say, oh my god, well, I'm seeing all this growth. Property prices have nearly doubled in 5 to 7 years, and then they get into the market. And what happens is you've actually missed out on all the solid growth at the very beginning of that growth phase. And so that's why it's more risky investing in your own backyard, because there is such a lag that you've just missed out and you actually haven't kept up to date with it. When you see the property prices just starting to change, okay, at the very beginning, you don't really take any awareness of it because you don't really see much of a difference. But as soon as you see the property prices go from 500 and it's already at 650, 700, you'll be like, oh my god, the prices are starting to rise. Let's get in now. And there's already been 3 years or more gone past, and you've missed all that solid growth that you could have captured. That's why it's risky to invest in your own backyard, because if you've got no understanding or education, or you don't know how to do the research and understand when that property is in its growth phase or that market's in its growth phase, you're gonna get burnt. You're gonna lose a lot of growth. I've known people that bought at the top of the market, and that's what after that the market has just done nothing and started to plateau. And then the market eventually will start to pick up down the track, maybe another 5 or 6 years. But that waiting period of where your property's starting to plateau and actually not perform well from a capital growth perspective, your main objective when investing in property is to use the equity. Use the equity to live, use the equity to go buy more property, and use the equity, of course, to buy other things that you would like to buy, if that's going on a holiday or buying a car. So your objective is you want your property to buy your property, and in 12 months time you want to release the equity, take the equity out, go buy another property or use it for other things that you'd like to use it for. So, and that's the key of investing. It's very important. So if you don't have that, the thing is you'll get held back for a very long time. You won't be able to, save at the rate that the property is going to be growing if you buy correctly. So you're going to be stuck there trying to save, come up with a deposit because your property is not growing in value. And if all of a sudden 3, 4, 5 years go by, and guess what? Then you can go for an investment property, but you've wasted so much time. If you just bought correctly in a different market, and it can be interstate, it can be in a different town of where you live. Let's say if you live in Melbourne, maybe it might be a regional town, a big regional town, maybe Wangaratta, Shepparton, it might be, only down the Gippsland region. So, you just got to look outside your box. It doesn't have to be interstate, but of course it can be somewhere, in a big town that's, far away from where you live. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. A lot of people don't understand or don't know when the market took off. Like if we went back in time and I said, oh, you should be getting in Melbourne 2012 and start purchasing there in certain areas, of course, 100% everyone would have gone back in time and done that. If everyone knew just before COVID there were certain areas around Australia that were taking off, you would definitely go back and go back and start purchasing there. If I told you go back in 2018 and start purchasing in Brisbane, that was the best time to purchase, people would have gone back and purchased it because they knew what was going on. They knew that was the best time to buy, not now, as everyone's getting into Brisbane now. You've missed all that growth. So just keep that in mind, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully this opened up your mind a little bit, because it's very laggy with property. You don't see the full effect is when it's too late, okay? And then next thing you know, he's like, oh my God, the property prices have doubled in a short period of time, or nearly doubled. They've grown 30, 40% already. And that time that you've missed out on a lot of growth. And there's another market that's always starting its growth phase for certain reasons. Okay, every market has a time where it starts. Okay, they start different times. Okay, doesn't mean if Queensland market starts now, all of Queensland's markets are starting now. Not necessarily. Okay, Brisbane 2018-19 was where it really started to take off. Okay, there was places in regional Queensland that weren't taking off. Places like Toowoomba that wasn't starting to take off back then. Okay, places like Bundaberg wasn't starting to take off then. Okay, so you look at it, had a bit of a lagging effect. Okay, places like Gympie actually that was starting back in 2019. That was a good time to start getting into Gympie, which is just above the Moreton Bay region, so near the Sunshine Coast, past Sunshine Coast. So every market has its different growth phase. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that gives you a bit of clarity. Hopefully opens up your mind as well to not just look in your own backyard. Definitely do your own research. Have a look at data. Have a look at CoreLogic data, or Price Finder, or maybe buy another program that can help you with that, making that understanding, that informed decision. Have a look at when the market used to take off, when it was starting to take off, so you can understand, is it too hot or is it just starting? Okay, but majority of the time when you're where you're living, it's probably just reached its peak as well. Okay, thank you once again. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.